you start examining it, you're like, oh no, this is really slow and this is badly put together, and it totally kills something that you could have totally gotten into much further, but misses the mark because it's trying to imitate something from Hong Kong and even Korea that's way better.
Yeah, and the thing about this also, the fighting is one thing, but also we talked about characterizations for some of the other things. It's hard to balance that out with the fighting when you have a crossover like this, and yet they were able to kind of build on some. They gave some of the characters character arcs all the way through that will have repercussions later.
My favorite one so far is probably the one with Professor Stein and Jefferson. Like when they were talking about Professor Stein was gonna have to take this cocktail to separate from the Firestorm Matrix. And you kind of had like Jefferson's like misgivings about that because like as far as he was built this relationship with Professor Stein.
Yeah, as a father.
So he was like, it's not so much that I'm going to lose Firestorm, but it's that I'm going to lose you. Yeah. And it was like, man, like, you're like my son, and that was like a very touching moment.
They give Stein a lot of characters.
Yeah, Victor Garber had. One of the things that these crossovers do too, other than just seeing the cool kind of interaction between characters that normally don't get to play against each other, you get to see a lot of the range of them. So like Kyler Lee, who was on Supergirl, who's playing Alex, her sister, is like a very good actress.
Yes, she is.
And they gave her so much to do in this crossover with all different types of kind of emotional arcs. And then Victor Garber as well as Stein gets to do a lot with his abilities, you know?
Well, I think when you talk about it being better than something like Justice League, to be fair, one of the things that I think we've talked about, Khalil, is the fact that television has time on its hands.
Yeah.
When you have...
You're basically getting crossovers.
When you have an entire hour, like it's or 2 hours, you can tell a limited story. You get 4. You get
4 hours.
The Arrowverse in this facet has the same advantages as Marvel, where they've had the time to do a lot of the background character development, building out the world, that kind of stuff. So again, like
I agree.
Like the Avengers trailer, these crossovers are payoffs.
Payoffs.
Watching the show.
I will say that I don't watch Arrow anymore.
Me neither.
I find that show to be there's not a lot of payoff, but I enjoyed watching them in this crossover. It will not bring me back to watching them. I watch Flash, Supergirl, sometimes I watch Legends. Arrow is better written than Legends. But Legends it's just like a slog to go through Arrow, and I don't watch it.
Legends is fun. It's a lot more fun for people than watching Arrow. Arrow is just like very dreary, and like you said, no payoff.
There's no payoff, and there's as much as I love Felicity Smoke, like they make Emily Britt Rickards do a lot of crap with that character, and I just can't. She's great, she sells it, but I just feel like,
and then what gets me is that Mr. Terrific's on that show,
and he doesn't have much to do.
He doesn't have. I have a problem with like, his whole hairstyle thing. That hairstyle, where like, he's got like his ears out, and then he's like, oh, like this trouble outside. Let me walk out the door.
I got full cornrows.
That does not work like that, man.
They actually kind of like answered that in this season. Instead of be cornrows, no, he just has it pulled back and like a little man bun thing. Yeah, but that's so weird.
The question about Nazis is, I'm tired of Nazis as a villain.
Me too.
I really feel like it's a little bit lazy in a way, because you can just make them as monstrously evil as you want, and you can kill them off as you want, and they don't actually have a lot of depth because they're just Nazis, so they're automatically
exactly
evil.
Pretty much they're zombies.
They're just
exactly.
But and what worked for this one is because you have like Arrow and Supergirl, which are both heroes, but with different kinds of reasons for being heroes and different kinds of ways of resolving stuff. But then when their villain counterparts are there, you kind of see why they're heroes versus why these people are villains. So you have Kara saying, I am strong, so my job is to help those who are weaker. Whereas Overgirl is like, no, they're ants. Exactly. Destroy them. Even there's a part where I think it's the Arrow episode where Arrow says to the Felicity Smoke counterpart from the other world, like, it's the job of the strong to protect the weak.
For the weak, correct.
And so it kind of a good establishing because they're up against the Nazis. So that was really great. I loved that a lot. And I will say, like, one thing that I think is really amazing is a lot of people, not a lot, but quite a few people on my Facebook didn't know that, like, the pink triangle
Right.
That was just an actual thing that happened. It wasn't just Jewish people who were destroyed, but gay people and also Jehovah Witnesses and other things, and they were marked, and so they had that kind of history note, I guess, historical note. But then also, it's a superhero show, and sometimes people argue about how superhero shows there's not diversity. This is a show where there was 4 gay characters, 2 of which are played by gay actors, and there was no kind of shirking from the fact that they were gay
definitely.
characters.
That's one of the things that I like. I think like the relationship between the Ray and Leonard Snart, because Leonard Snart from Earth X is in a relationship with the Ray. I felt like their relationship was so cute, because like it was that thing where there's like, bye sweetie, like I'll be okay. Come back, you know. There was a lot of their love kind of was shown there, really, and they were very.
Because I've never thought about Snart that way before.
Right, but
it was just very theatrical as he is, and he's like very campy and theatrical.
And I like how he commits to that corniness.
But that seems as though, like, even with that campiness,
like he's a straight character.
Seems like
so no, Wentworth Miller, I think, is underrated as an actor, and he sells it as. He's Citizen Cole, who he is in the Earth X, is a different character to Captain Cole. There's still a theatricality, but his relationship with the Ray was very believable.
You have to sell me.
It was very. It was very intimate.
Wentworth Miller, like, he's underrated as an actor.
I think he is.
I think I like how he is like so committed to like the corniness of Snart. There's that moment where they were facing a firing squad, and it goes like ready, set. And then before they said fire, he said cold. He said fire.
He is. And then they're like, "You're cutting it close," and he waited just so he'd have a good line.
Waited. And it was, "You cut it close." He was like, "I didn't want to miss that fire pun."
And then, like, that is the type of character that Snart is. Like, it's all theatricality, right? But then also they have Alex from Supergirl and White Canary interact, and they're both queer women, and there's that whole interaction, and again, it did not shirk away from the fact that there were 2 queer characters who, spoilers, get together, and they didn't turn away from that either, and it wasn't done in kind of an exploitative way, and I thought that was really interesting, because we're in a place where you can have a superhero story, and they can have queer characters, and they're not going to kind of like,
because again,
cushion it for people.
Because finally we're in a place where have people who are writing the material who understand it a bit better.
Or who are willing to just like give payoff to the fans who've been watching.
So I was gonna give like Mark a farewell here. He's stepping out. Any last words? We're not gonna kill you just before you
go. Okay, so came back in to hear Khalil's comment. I think one of the things that Supergirl as a show has done well is that LGBT representation. They haven't shied away from it. They dealt with it in realistic, real-world situations. That's good for that show. But Earth X has been great. I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the next crossover. I'm glad to see the payoff for characters like Vixen and Ray, which were introduced on the CW Seed animated shows.
Actually being, because there was a time where you thought that they wouldn't actually have never live action. And they're there.
So that's been good. But guys, they got a bounce. Glad to be here. People,
good to see you again, Mark.
Have a good rest of your show, and we'll catch up.
So before we head out, like, what would you guys give your rating for Crisis on Earth X?
7.
7? I would give it a 7 too. It was a really. I'm very much liking I was like the CW. How much?
She said 9.
9?
Yeah.
9?
I can even punch up to an 8 because I enjoyed it very much.
It was really cool.
And my thing is that if it's fun, that's important because people need to have fun when they're watching these things.
Right.
Well, you see, the only reason why I don't hit full out is there's a couple of things that made me wonder in terms of just storyline wise.
Right.
But that's just like nitpicking, really.
Right.
So,
Well,
that's it. So before we wrap up, like any recommendations, like comics, movies, shows, what should people be checking out?
That's a good question. There's so much stuff that comes across my face in terms of pop culture these days, and I always forget stuff when we get this chance to plug things.
Okay, I got a couple. There's a comic book series called Harrow County that's being put out by Dark Horse.
Okay, cool.
Our friend Wade actually recommended it to me, and it is really good. It's a supernatural series. It's super creepy. So it has a lot of horror elements.
Kind of like
written by Cullen Bunn, actually, and it is very good.
Okay.
Really, really good. So it's about a girl in the U.S. South, who has powers, and there's a question about whether or not she's a reincarnated witch that was in the country before, and it has a lot of references to a lot of folklore, U.S. folklore, and it's just like a generally well-written series. So I've read the first 24, 25 issues of that. It's really good. So Howard County is definitely what I would recommend.
I actually picked up, started reading Dark Knight's Metal because
yes,
and it's
wacky.
It's wacky, but I totally get the allure of why people are into it.
Oh yeah, like you have like your
it is very weird.
It's very wacky. But you have your issue 1, like your Justice League assignment to a Justice League Voltron.
Yeah,
I like how Green Lantern's like the dick. He basically makes up the crotch in the Voltron formation.
It's a terrible way.
Yeah, it's
just like putting them there. But yeah, I think that was, for me, there wasn't a lot more peeking out from pop culture. There's a couple of things here and there that I noticed that I didn't get to include, especially because there's so much changes. When I didn't get to mention to you, and I wanted us to talk about it in your news, the replacing of, from House of Cards.
Oh, Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey's character in his upcoming movie was
totally
replaced by Christopher Plummer.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could delete a person off a movie.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
It's happened before.
It's finished film.
Yeah, but not a finished film.
Yeah.
That's entirely different. That's really weird.
They have never said that. They've never actively said that, but people
get
violate
cut out.
People have violated contracts and been removed completely from films before.
Right, but never the main character of a film. That is bizarre. And then to have the person who's filmed their scenes being replaced with somebody else.
Yes.
That is.
I think again because we don't know that these things happen as well, because this movie had already launched its marketing. Right. That's why this is so well known as well.
Well, there's films. Yeah, well, there are films that where the person is replaced, like V for Vendetta, for example.
Of course,
where the main character has been replaced for whatever reason, either
contractual issues, and so on.
But where, as you said, where a film has been finished and marketing has happened, and then you're gonna cut this person out of the film. Yeah, there's some cases where he's just gonna be implanted. Like digitally.
That's digitally really implanted. Strange. I want to see how that looks.
It's a weird thing, man.
For me, my recommendations, I've been reading The Ballad of Black Tom. Which is like Victor Laval. If you read comics, you know that Victor Laval is done like a book called Destroyer. But if you are not like me, who is all about comics, but you know who Victor Laval is, he's a fiction writer. He's a black man, and he has rewritten. The Ballad of Black Tom is a reimagining of Lovecraft's The Horror at Red Hook through the eyes of a black man in 1924. And it
was scary enough before, but as a black man, it's gotta be much scarier.
Considering
much that Lovecraft was
an absolute racist.
Absolute racist.
Like it announces that in the foreword, from Victor Laval, he's a big Lovecraft fan. But he makes note of the fact the irony of being a fan of someone who was such a racist.
Yeah, it really hurt. It hurts when you're diving into someone's art and you're reflected in such a poor way. The
impact of Lovecraft on horror and science fiction,
the cosmic horror,
cannot be
taken
undermined. And a lot of people that we like and a lot of people that we
follow
are influenced by him.
Correct.
So, but definitely read that as a great read. Moving through it slowly, but I'm powering through it. I'm hoping I get to finish it before next week. Mm-hmm. But definitely take a look at, in terms of comics. Read Batman Annual #2. I know a lot of people when they read comics they skip the annuals, but Batman Annual #2 is a story about Batman and Catwoman. So we know that they recently got engaged.
Yes,
and this story follows it. It begins from the first time they met to the second time they met to the first time they actually married, and it goes into their marriage. And it follows through until the death of Bruce Wayne. And he dies in his bed. And it goes through their life. It basically just goes through their whole married life together.
That's cute.
And it is the sweetest book, but it's also important. Seeing Batman outside of these moments where he's beating people and just making cool poses.
Where he's using his back taser.
It's good in seeing how he is as a character. It's a good deconstruction of him as a